Hi everyone, it's Karen. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel once again. I am now celebrating my anniversary with Los Angeles as I do every year on July 27th. I am so grateful to be living here. I love Los Angeles so much. But a lot of you people ask how I came to be here because I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I bet you couldn't tell. Okay. No, really, I don't sound that Brooklyny compared to most people there. When I go home, if I don't know which is my home, but if I go to New York and I'm in a gym or something and I'm lying there waiting for the class to start and I hear the people behind me going, "Oh, so where do you want to eat after? You want to get coffee? You want to get wine? Coffee or wine? What do you want?" Okay, so that's kind of thing. I can't take it. And then if I'm in a restaurant there and I say, "Oh, can I just have water, please?" And they go, "Oh, we don't have that." I go, "You don't have water?" They go, "We don't know what you're asking for." I go, "Water that you drank?" They go, "Oh, water, water. Why didn't you say so? You wanted water. The girl wanted water. Bring us some water." You didn't want coffee? You wanted water? What's wrong with you? That's not what I meant to tell you now, but I just, you know me, I free for all. Um, I free form. I think I free form. I don't free for all. I mean, you can free for yourself, whatever. Okay, so anyhow, this is the story of how I came to Los Angeles, the whole story. I'll make it as brief as possible, but it's kind of good. So, anyhow, I was a teenager in New York. It was after my first year of my first college. And remember that I skipped a grade because that makes me younger and not that you need to remember because I don't know if you knew it to begin with. How many people? Raise your hand if you knew I skipped a grade. I mean, you should have figured it out. Didn't you say I was smart? Probably not that either, but okay. Someone from elementary school called me the first time I was on the Tonight Show, and somehow she got in touch with me and she goes, "What's that ditzy act you're doing?" I go, "What ditzy act? I just talk like myself. I'm always myself." And she said, "But you were the brain." And she was so smart. I said, "I'm still smart. You can be smart and ditzy." And then when I was at her house one time, she was telling her daughter about me, and the daughter said, "Karen was the smartest in the class." She goes, "Yeah, she was a real brain, a fat, ugly little brain." So she described me in elementary school. So actually, maybe she was describing me right now. I'm not saying if the shoe fits. Okay, so anyhow, speaking of shoes, I didn't wear any back in the day. I don't know why I always went barefoot. But anyhow, I planned to go with a friend and his cousin, who I didn't know the cousin as well, to drive cross country to LA. And my parents were not thrilled, but I, that isn't even the right term. They were miserable. But I heard my mother tell my father that if she goes along with it, then we're still friends, and I'll tell her everything, and I'd probably go on my own. Even though I was a teenager, I don't know why they didn't lock me up. Lock up your daughters if ever they want to do what I did, because it's crazy. But knock on wood, I lived through it, and it's a really good time. But anyhow, so the cousin I didn't know as well showed up that day to leave for cross country, and I said, "Where's his cousin, who was my good friend?" He said, "He's meeting us there." And I said, "He's meeting us where?" And he said, "In Los Angeles." Like it's around the corner, like he's meeting us at a restaurant. He's gonna, so I had to go cross country with this guy I barely knew, go across the whole country. And it was okay. We had a good enough time. He was a little older and rougher, like, not exactly, my cup of tea, but he was nice. It was fine. I got cross country. We stopped and visit people I knew along the way, which is weird that as a teenager I knew people along the way. And we had a nice time, but we went up to Sausalito first. Oh, I don't know if I want to tell you this part. Okay, this is going to be longer than I planned, but and I hope that I'm allowed to do a long video then, because okay, we're not. This is a longer video. So anyhow, because this guy Mark, who I came cross country with whom I came cross country, dropped me at these people's house who I didn't know, because in those days everyone just said, "Oh, here's an address. My friend, my brother just show up," and these people opened the door in Sausalito, a naked couple who said, "We're just in the shower. We're going to be out in a minute, and the people whose house it is will be home soon, and it's okay." Just so the guy left me there. I mean, I'm just left in this house with this naked couple. They left, and then the two guys and two girls who lived there came home and they opened the door and they saw me standing there and they go, "Who are you?" Like this is what's going on. I said, "Well, the naked couple in the shower let me in." They go, "What?" They didn't even know there was a naked couple in their shower. But at least then they weren't so concerned who I was. And I said I was friends with one of their sisters. She told me to meet there, blah, blah, blah. And they were really they were really cool. They, welcomed me, and I stayed there for a few days. I was so not independent in my whole life. I don't know how I managed to do this. And then the sister came out and her friend, and then the parents. And then I said, I wanted to just go home at that point because I did not like Sausalito. I did not like San Francisco. Those weren't my cups of tea. And everyone said, then you're going to hate LA. So, in other words, nobody knew me. But so I just wanted to go home to Brooklyn. But I said, well, let's hitch down to LA because I'm not going to come whole cross country, not come to Los Angeles. And whatever, long story, they said they didn't want to hitch with me because everybody talks to me. It was a nice reason. They said, when we're with you, even we want to listen to you. So we don't talk, we don't meet anyone, blah, blah, blah. So that was fine. So I said, I'll hitch myself. And then the parents said they'll drive all three of us down to Big Sur, and then I'll hitch from there. So I somehow this couple came by there. I think it was three. It was, I know it was not, I think, believe me, I know every second of this trip. So it was three people who were very nice, and they said they'll drive me to Los Angeles. It was two guys and a girl. And it was so weird. They had no food. I just remember eating like boiled ham, like from a packet. Ugh. But whatever, it was good. And I was still so nervous. And then we came down PCH, and then we hit like a little above Malibu. And for the first time in my life, I was so peaceful. I just felt so good. It could have to do with that, my cramp pills, because I was taking cramp pills, which in those days were uppers. So, but I just felt so good. I felt like I could breathe. It was like the most wonderful feeling. I just went, oh my God, I love this place and the ocean. And this one song kept playing on the radio all the time. I was just having such a good time. And I knew one guy from my college who was working backstage at UCLA. And he had said, come visit. Like everybody in those days would say, this is where I am for the summer, come visit. So, and he was on Gayley Avenue across the street from UCLA in student housing. So these people took me, and I saw Gayley Avenue. I was so excited. And we got up there, and I just have to tell you, I recreate that trip every year. I don't go all the way up to Big Sur, but I go up past Pepperdine, and then I drive down. I look at the ocean, and I go, "Oh my God!" Like I'm seeing it for the first time, and oh my God, this place is so beautiful. And if someone's with me, I have them make believe they're those three people. I don't eat the boiled ham, okay? I don't do that, but I listen to the song again. I'm not telling you what it is because it's private with me and LA, and we play it and we sing it. And then we get off, we do exactly the trip, and I get off in Westwood, and I go, where's Gayley? Where's Gayley? And I go, oh, there's Gayley Avenue. I almost looked to the right where it said Midvale, but I looked to the left, and then we go up, and I go, oh, and it used to be pink. Now it's gray, which is creepy. And I go, there it is. That's where Mitchell is. So I went up there, and the people next door let me in. I'm sitting on the couch in the student apartment, and then Mitchell and Roger, the other guy, I knew him too, but trust me, he didn't invite me. But anyhow, so the two of them came home, and Mitchell goes, what are you doing here? Isn't that a lovely greeting? And I said, you invited me. He said, we're in the theater program. It's over in 3 days. We're leaving. So by that time, I made friends with their third roommate, and I stayed and blah, blah. So that was my trip coming here. And it was, oh, this is a sidebar. But so they were working backstage in the UCLA theater program. So that was the first night. The second night, I went to see one play. The third night, I had a date that was weird. It was from someone I met on a train in Brooklyn. Don't ever do that. That's my advice about that. And then the fourth night, I saw the play that was in the Little Theater at UCLA. And then the fifth night was the last night of the theater program. So I was backstage waiting for the party, and I had a cute little dress on, and the girls were talking about it. And I said, oh, I guess I should come on stage like this because it was a period piece. They said, that's a good idea. We have an extra costume, and there's a funeral scene. So they put the outfit on me, and I was my fifth night in town. I was already on stage in LA, and the director had directed, I think, Pillow Talk or something like that with Rock Hudson and Doris Day. And he came up at the end. I saw him walking over to me. I thought he was going to say, who are you? What are you doing here? Like everyone had been asking me. Like you're asking me right now, what are you doing on my screen? But anyhow, he came up and thanked me for my beautiful work. That is so crazy. So anyhow, and all of this kind of somehow involved Mr. X, because but that's another story. Okay, that is part of the story. So I saw him in a play one night, and I just thought he was the greatest thing I ever saw. And then when I put the costume on to go on stage, I thought someone had to zip me up. So I went over to him and said, "Want to zip me up?" And he went, "Oh, okay." And he meant just then, not for the rest of his life, which he has been doing. But anyhow, so then I was here for a few weeks and I was having a lovely time. And but I had to go home because I was a teenager and I had a bunch of stuff that I had to be in Brooklyn for. So just a few days before I was going to leave, the guy who was staying next door to me on Gailey Avenue, whose name is Krishna, um, offered to take me to Disneyland. And I went, yeah, we're on the way to Disneyland. And I was young, but knew to say, when I go home, this will be like a dream to me. I've been in LA 2 weeks, and then, it'll be this much in your life when you're older. And he said, now he's Indian, remember, and Indian people sound very wise to me, at least, but I think they do to everyone. And he said, why do you have, okay, I don't do Indian accents great, but it's better with it a little. So he said, why do you have to go home? And I said, my family, my friends, my boyfriend, my college. And so he was driving. So, of course, he was not doing this. But when I see it in my memory, I always see him going, I think that's lotus position and very wise. And he said, those are not reasons you have to go home. I said, what do you mean? He said, your family will always be your family. You've already made new friends here and you can keep those. You change colleges and you're too young. That's not the boyfriend for your life. And I'm like, wow, that's heavy, Don. Except I didn't talk like that. But I did say, wow. And I said, but how would I live? And he said, you go to UCLA, which is what I would have wanted to do anyhow. And I mean, it wasn't so easy, just go, hey, UCLA, I'm coming to you. But I was smart. I knew that I could get it. But I was a dance major, so, I was hoping I was a good enough dancer, which it turned out I was too. But I wasn't concerned about those at the time. And I said, really? And he said, you get an apartment? And I said, don't you have to pay for that then? And he said, you get a job. All concepts I had never thought of because I was a sheltered little girl who lived with my family. I went to Brooklyn College, which was right next door to my high school in Brooklyn. I mean, I was a home girl. And Krishna really, I wish I still knew this guy. If you're Krishna out there, and I know what you look like, I have a picture of you and I know what you look like. But if you're Krishna, get in touch with me because I want to thank you because I would never have stayed here without you. And you just really, I'm going to cry right now. I've never cried about this, but I'm going to cry right now. Krishna really put it together for me, and I thought I could do this. And I called my parents and said, I'm going to stay here. And then they cried. No, I think my father cried with happiness, actually. No, he did not. But my mother kept crying every time I talked, and they said, you're not going to get money. But it all worked out. And I thank Krishna from the bottom of my heart. I thank the girls backstage at UCLA who put that costume on me. I thank Mitch and Roger for letting me stay at their place. And I thank all of you for watching this. Now, I have to tell you one thing. It is 13 minutes now, this video, and I'm a little superstitious about 13, so I'm going to have to talk for another like 40 seconds. So I'm sorry about that. This story is done, but I have a lot more to tell you. But let me just say how much I love Los Angeles. And you know what? I did have notes. Even though I know I can talk off the top of my head, like, oh, yeah, okay. There were things I was going to tell you, but this is my first video about my anniversary with LA. And so if you're seeing this on the 27th and you want to find me, well, maybe I shouldn't tell you where I am, but I'm going to be driving down PCH and I'm going to be loving every single second of it because I love LA. And actually, I love all of you who watch this. I really appreciate it that just these few years later, I'm doing this now with you. So thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. And I will see you with the next one. Don't forget to read It's Not About Me.tv to see what I have to say about my anniversary today and everything else. Thanks. Bye. Happy anniversary to me and Los Angeles.